Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Wars Old Republic video. So the HK-55 bonus chapter is upon us. It is really amazing, cool, and unique. And I think one of the most exciting aspects of the chapter, at least for me, was actually being able to play as a droid and all the new abilities and cool animations that we get and the gameplay mechanics that are going to be associated with playing a droid, because there was never any droid class ever released in the game. And so for this video I just wanted to quickly go through some of the really cool abilities we get as HK-55 and basically showing them in action. So let's get right into it. So the first ability we get is just Rifle Blast. It just fires a series of shots, ranged shots, and it's just your kind of basic firing thing. Like every class has a basic attack, and this is charging in, so it just leaps to a target, immobilizing it. Now this is a cool one. It rolls backward and places a stun, so all the people who you targeted initially and then roll backward, they get stunned. And then Blindside takes advantage of a distracted target and just fires a shot, so basically that target needs to be suffering from some sort of stun or something like that, kind of like the rail shot that the bounty hunter gets. And then the Rail Blast is also like a rail shot. It just fires a really high velocity, short range rail blast that does high damage to a target. Execute is basically your execute ability, but it only does it for enemies that are below 50% health. Terminate is your AoE, and it doesn't really do that much damage. You won't see me using Terminate that often. Now Assassinate is one of the coolest abilities we get. Basically it just takes a really well aimed shot, and it can only be used once every 30 seconds, and it basically does like 30k damage. I'll show you guys right here. But once you actually kill an enemy, then Assassinate's cooldown gets off, and so you can basically use it again. And as you guys can see, it did like 21k damage. And the combo that I generally like to use when I'm playing or when I'm just taking down regular mobs is I'll charge in and then I'll quickly press 3 and roll back, and everyone will just get stunned. And you can see my AoE in effect here now, and I'm just going to quickly finish off these mobs. What I learned later on after actually playing the chapter was the most effective way to take care of these mobs was to basically use your Assassinate as much as possible. I was finding that there were a lot more mobs than normal, and it was getting pretty tedious trying to kill them all because the rest of HK's abilities don't actually do that much damage. The execute that you see here actually does a ton of damage, but the rest of the abilities just kind of do normal 4 to 5k hits, and that's really not enough to even take out some of these lower level mobs which are weak, but as you guys can see has like 18 to 20k health. But I was able to do so because I learned very quickly that you're just supposed to use Assassinate as much as possible, because you use Assassinate on a target, for example, then try to kill them using your other abilities, and then once you kill them, your Assassinate goes off cooldown, you can use it on another guy. And so I took care of all the weak mobs first using Assassinate, and then it kept allowing my Assassinate to proc, so I was basically taking out these mobs in a matter of seconds after that. And so that's really the way you want to play it. But I learned that a little bit too late. But at the end of the day, it was just a ton of fun to use all these abilities and to play as a droid, basically. It was really one of the coolest parts about this chapter. So I'm just going to go on and use some more of these abilities on this mob that's going to show up here. And you can see some more of these ability animations in action. And that is definitely one of the coolest aspects of playing this chapter, was being able to play a droid and to have these cool abilities. And some of these abilities you'll see are very similar to HK-51's abilities. If you have him as a companion and you went through the grind and you did everything you need to do to get access to him, he has abilities like Assassinate, like the missile barrage and stuff like that. And so they were actually quite similar, and it was a lot of fun for you to be able to use them rather than having just your companion able to do it. Now if only we had an ability like Assassinate in the real game, that would be awesome. Just doing those huge 25k hits. Although to be quite honest, marksmanship snipers get those kinds of things like with ambush and stuff, so it's not that big of a deal, but still it's pretty cool, especially in conjunction with a lot of the other abilities he had. And to be quite honest, I wasn't having that much fun with it later on with just these normal mobs. It was getting really tedious, but for some reason it was a ton of fun to fight the bosses. Like I was able to finish off champion level bosses in a matter of a minute or 2 minutes. So it was actually a lot of fun to fight bosses using this. And I'll probably have some gameplay of that coming up later. But just in general, I had tons of fun with these new abilities, and I really wanted to quickly show them off. I hope you guys enjoyed this short video. I'll see you in the next one.